Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. If the other side, in my case, my baby's mom, is accusing me of abusing the court system, these are the type of things I'm going to answer. And it takes a little bit of study and a little bit of taking notes and paying attention until you absorb this stuff and have an understanding of it. So, first and foremost, if you're representing yourself or you're pro se, they're quick triggered a lot of times. Oh, he's abusing the system. He filed 2 motions in the past month. The first thing out of my mouth is it's the epitome of hypocrisy for them to say, I'm abusing the system. I'm zealously advocating for my position and for my child's right to have a father. How could I be abusing the system to be asking for a temporary order? And let's, like in Washington State, RCW 2.40, I think it is, something. It's 2.42, I think, maybe 010 or something. You have a right to appeal a family law commissioner's decision to a judge. So if I go in and motion for a temporary order, like I got 0 visitation the first time I tried. And then I go in and I get 5 days a week in front of a judge. Family law commissioner pro tem, regular full-time judge, 2 different rulings. Totally opposite, which shows how corrupt the system is. It's whatever one judge feels that day. If they were to say, oh, he's abusing the system, he did a revision after he lost the first hearing. The law says I have an automatic right to do a revision. So if they're saying that I abuse the system because I exercise my right under the law, they're saying the law is abusive, and the attorney, the mother's attorney at law, going to a court of law that has to abide by the law, is complaining that I'm exercising my rights under the law. They are the epitome of hypocrites if they're attacking me for exercising my rights under the law. So hypocritically, when they're accusing me of abusive litigation, that accusation is abusive because it's not rooted or grounded in any truth or merit or whatever you want to say or call it. They're making a frivolous claim against me because I filed a couple. I've seen people file 2 or 3 motions in a year and they say, oh, they're abusing the system. This is where you need to look up case law. Like, look up case law in your state. If you live in Texas, Supreme Court, vexatious litigation, frivolous litigation. Civil rule. I just talked with a guy in Texas and we were talking about the Civil Rule 11 equivalent. If you don't know what Civil Rule 11 is, watch my video on YouTube about it. It's critical for you to know that. The equivalent of Civil Rule 11 is Texas Civil Code of Procedure 13. We just found that out because while we were on the phone, we went and looked for it and we found it. That can get an attorney sanctioned or punished because Civil Rule 11 says if you come to court and you sign off on a claim and it's meant to burden, delay, harass, it's not rooted and grounded in fact, you didn't investigate your claim thoroughly, then you could be punished for abusing the process. So they come to court and flippantly throw out, oh, he's engaging in abusive litigation. No, I'm not. I'm exercising my right to be in my daughter's life, which the court provides. Like, let's say the mother started the case. She dragged me into court. I'm exercising the rules of civil procedure to have a hearing. I lost the hearing. The law says I can appeal it, and I'm appealing it. And they're complaining that I'm abusing the system. And attorneys all day long will advertise, we will aggressively and zealously fight for you. Those are fighting words. They're saying they'll fight for a client and they'll have somebody come on board without even, before they even find out what somebody's case is, they got to promise to them they're going to fight for them aggressively. That's the nature of what they do. And they're complaining that I'm doing something almost as zealously as what they promised to do. They're hypocrites. They're just throwing this out here and they're frivolously throwing it out. And by them frivolously lying about me and saying I'm abusing the system by just wanting to be an involved dad, they're abusing the system against me, trying to get me punished. You see how that works? You get that? This is another basic common sense thing. That if you read stuff and you're like, wait a minute, you can't come to court and frivolously just make up stuff and go to court for the fun of it and harass somebody in court with lies. Wait a minute. They're lying about me abusing the system So what they're doing is a lie. So they're abusing the system against me. But see, some of you guys don't want to think, you know, exercise, you know, burn off one or two, fire off one or two more brain cells than you have to. You want to barely think about this and half-ass this stuff. This is where you got to be engaged, and you got to think, how can I attack them? This is basic logic. This is third grade level deductive reasoning. If there's laws and rules that talk about frivolous litigation, and in some states, frivolous litigation or abuse of the process is a form of domestic violence, I'll say the mother's committing domestic violence against me. So I'll cite the RCW that allows revision, the RCW 26.51 that says frivolous litigation or abusive litigation is a form of domestic violence. The mother's committing domestic violence against me. If I speak up and I want to be in my kid's life and I motion the court and I lose and I do a revision to have the court look at it again, she's saying she's a victim of my abuse. But she's withholding the child from me, and she wants to attack me for trying to get relief from the court or a court order, which is the only way I can see my kid. She's showing her alienation colors. She's showing her true colors. She's an alienator, and she not only wants to stop me from seeing the kid outside of court, if I come to court, she wants me to not be able to file anything in court. She wants an unfair advantage. And this is a court of fairness and equity. That's another legal principle. You see how I'm just spitting out legal principle after legal principle? This is why I tell you guys to watch all my videos. If you understand Civil Rule 11, that you understand the doctrine of fairness and equity, the courts of fairness and equitable, fair and equitable. If you understand the fundamental fairness doctrine, you have a right to be heard. If you understand California versus Ferretta, your right to represent yourself in court. If you understand that vexatious litigation or abuse of the process is an extreme thing, and you know how to look up case law, that's 4 things I rattled off the top of my head. You need to understand all of this stuff. And it's not as overwhelming as you think. All it takes, okay, let me take a day to look up Civil Rule 11 and try and absorb it. Let me take another day to look up California versus Ferretta. Let me take another day to look up the fundamental fairness doctrine. Let me take another day to look up case law on fairness and equity. And if you don't know how to do this stuff, what are you doing sitting around just watching my videos? Are you just entertained? You got some popcorn, you're getting entertained because you like to watch my tone or whatever? If you have a case and your life with your kid is at stake, or you have a final order and the mother's violating it, you don't know what to do, you want to go and modify, she's doing contempt, she's harassing you. You know, I had a guy who called me yesterday, the day before, and the baby's mom harasses his mother, his girlfriend, and his sister and taunts them. Why didn't they get a restraining order against her? Because everybody tolerates this stuff and lets it slide and lets it go and doesn't jump on stuff. See, I'm a person who wants justice, and I want action taking. You know, everybody's talking about the Epstein stuff and how the government always talks about doing something and never does it. That's what all the fathers' rights guys are doing. That's what every father out there does. All you guys are talking about how unfair it is, you're not doing anything. If you're out here complaining about government and politicians saying they're going to do something about unjust people or the Epstein files and stuff like that, you're a hypocrite if you're not out here doing the same thing in regular everyday life. See, that's the nature of human beings. They don't want to do anything about anything. They want somebody else to rescue them. They want to call 911 and have the cops go find somebody and arrest them and make sure their house is protected and stuff. You know, the founders created the right to bear arms and all this other stuff so we can protect ourselves and we can live in liberty and do our own thing. And we can all get along, and if somebody violates us, we can defend ourselves. Well, we turn into a bunch of punk little sissy simps in a feminized society where we want mommy or government to take care of us. You need to learn all these things so you can spit this out and flip you could take every single allegation and flip it around and attack the other side like I'm doing right now. They say I'm frivolously abusing the process. I have a right to access the court. And then she's showing her alienating colors and wants to block me. She wants to block me outside of court. I come to court trying to get relief from the court, and she still wants to block me. She doesn't want me to be able to file any motions. That's a passive-aggressive, gaslighting, narcissist, and control freak with mental issues, and she's an alienator. And Dr. Childress says that alienators and alienation is just as traumatic as physical and sexual abuse. See how I just took... A lot of you guys will get on the defense, oh, I'm not abusive litigation, and then you curl up in a ball. I just turned it around and have like 5 or 6 allegations attacking them. That's the skillful art of being your own attorney and doing it the right way and learning how to do it. And if you don't get a consult with me, or you don't watch this stuff to learn and take notes and try and learn everything, you're just wasting your time. Get on the offensive and flip everything on the offensive.